Is there not a concern that the BBC has just given Shamima Begum the opportunity to whitewash herself and just go, look, hey, I was this poor, vulnerable little girl and didn't know what I was doing? And it's just almost like propaganda, isn't it? She has got a slick PR operation behind her, Nigel.
Well, I mean, I think that not so much a slick PR operation apart from the one she's running. Also, what she was saying in the podcast, I don't think does her case a great deal of good. What the podcast is saying is that she planned very carefully the way that she left Britain, how she actually met up with ISIS people. There's no question that she was actually trafficked against her will. She knew exactly what she was doing. None of that actually enhances her case for coming home. So from that point of view, no. I mean, I don't think she does whitewash herself. OK. Wasiq, I'll throw it back your way, really. Do you not think that at the bare minimum, whether or not, and just hit me out on this, whether or not Shamima Begum is a threat is one thing. Whether or not she's so painfully thick that I don't think we need her clogging up the lower end of our benefits sector is another. The idea that she's saying, oh, well, you know, I don't really pose that much of a threat other than the fact that I was in ISIS. I mean, if she had never been British, surely this is not the kind of person that we would be wanting in this country anyway, is it?
No, and that's a really important point when we do think about those who have been returning. People have been returned and have been prosecuted. Not everyone and not everyone has been successfully prosecuted. The fact that she's over there doesn't mean that she's always going to stay a threat, but it does mean that she could still pose a threat. She may be thick, as you've suggested, and she may be quite smart as well. And I think those who are in the stronghold of ISIS and in the Al-Roj camp who are they're being trained to still pose a risk. I think we need to really take that into consideration when we think of the legal and the moral aspect of prosecuting her or whether we want to bring her back.
And Wasiq, I'll stick with you for a second. We have actually allowed quite a large number of returning ISIS fighters back in. It's not like we've pulled up the drawbridge. I mean, there was 1 year where we actually let back in a higher proportion of returning ISIS fighters than Saudi Arabia, which is quite a triumph if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that we need to consider. This is stripping someone of their citizenship isn't a first resort for the government. It's a last resort. And I think the government need to really answer on this. We need to really sort our counter-terrorism policies and our laws out so that we don't need to go so far to the extreme where we are actually stripping someone of their citizenship. And this individual has been born and brought up here. So I do think we need to be or show a little bit of critique towards government in terms of how they deal with this.